Welcome to another episode of Talk FS. Today I'm joined by Marianne Lombardi. You may know her from Mortgage Chat. Marianne's not just a self-employed mortgage advisor, she has also built a supportive community where she provides value and support to other mortgage brokers. As a mortgage advisor for the last 17 years and in her last 5 years self-employed, Marianne has had quite the journey. Today we'll be diving into Marianne's story, looking into what attracted her to become a mortgage advisor, the leap from being an employed broker to being self-employed, and then what led her to be inspired to start Mortgage Chat and the benefits it brings to other brokers. Marianne, thank you for joining me today and welcome to the podcast.
Hi Ryan, yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So let's go to the start. What led you to want to become a mortgage advisor all those years ago?
I was working back in West Bromwich Building Society. I was working as a cashier and then a savings advisor. And really it was the next kind of general step you would take as progression, really. And I've always kind of enjoyed property, been passionate about it. I love spending that extra time with customers. Like, it was always quite quick on the counter. So it was just a natural next step for me to kind of spend that extra time with the customer, get more kind of solution driven advice. And also when I was at the West Brom, they were putting us through the training, so it kind of just was like the natural thing to do to kind of move my career forward and just have a role that was a bit more fulfilling as well.
Oh, well, fantastic to have that development. Did you have opportunity to be a mortgage advisor at the West Brom?
Yeah, so I studied my CMAP and then became a mortgage advisor. So I was a mortgage advisor at the West Brom for a couple of years, but then 2008 happened, and I think pretty much, I think about 95% of the mortgage advisors there at the time, me included, got made redundant. It was a massive, massive shock for me at the time because the West Brom was really like my first grown-up job. And I thought, I love it here. I'm never going to leave. This is it. I'll stay here until I'm 68, and then I'll get my pension. That was like my mindset at the time. If you told me I'd leave, I would have said never. So it was a big, big shock to be made redundant. Probably one of the biggest things, really, that it's not actually the biggest thing that happened to me, but the impact it had on me at the time was such a shock that, yeah, I wasn't really sure what way to go. But I applied for lots of jobs. The only people recruiting at the time were corporate estate agencies. So that was the next place that I went, which was Bearstow-Eves, Countrywide. So became a mortgage advisor then for them for a few years. And yeah, that was another eye opener. I guess, you almost become institutionalized, don't you, when you stay at one place for so long. And with West Brom, I knew their criteria inside and out. And I guess that kind of sticks, and you think, gosh, if they won't do it, no one will do it. So getting to Countrywide and having access to all these different lenders, it was a real shock to me that there was just actually different solutions to all those people that you've turned away, told them that they potentially can't get a mortgage. Actually, there is a lot of other solutions out there. So it was actually a blessing in disguise being made redundant, because I think, like, professionally, that was a massive development for me to just see what's out there, which is just so much more.
Yeah, definitely. We see that quite regularly. It's that single tide to multi-tide or whole of market. It's the sourcing element that those in the single tide don't realise is such a big part of the role.
And it's also the criteria, the rates, the things you can do. It's just like, wow, I can help so many more people than I could before. And I think when you're quite solution driven, and I guess I'll say that I always have tried to be, not tried to be, but maybe deep down I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I want to, you know, make someone happy. I want to get them the result they want. And I guess you've got a lot more options to do that when you've got more lenders that you can look at. And I think, yeah, for me, it definitely improved my skill set, and it opened my eyes a lot, as well, to the industry as a whole. And it was brilliant. I really enjoyed working at Countrywide. But then Nationwide came knocking. So a few people that had left West Brom went to Nationwide, and few years in, they said, come to Nationwide, there's loads of us there, ex-West Brom. It's like the good old days. And I thought, you know what, is it, I'll go. And I'll tell you the one big difference, and I know there's so much press about this at the moment, but the one big difference between West Brom and Countrywide was that when people came to see me at the West Brom, they wanted to see you. They'd been waiting a couple of weeks for an appointment because, you've got that kind of mentality that your own bank building society knows what they're doing and they'll look after you. And I guess at the estate agency, it was more like they had to be convinced into coming to see you and use you. And that's tough, You don't want anyone sitting in front of you either that doesn't want to be there. You want people to understand that you can do a good job and use you on that basis. Yeah, I guess kind of part of that made me think, I want to go back to Nationwide on that basis. So I went back to Nationwide as a mortgage advisor. And it was very similar to the West Brom, and I advised there for a few good years. And yeah, with the Nationwide, it was great. You do a lot, like West Brom, you do a lot of mortgages. You see an appointment after appointment, and it's just that initial appointment that you get. You don't really get any follow-up appointments. You don't really get to build up like a really good relationship because it's more about the volume, and then you've got they've got the back offices to do all the kind of processing to offer and all those types of things. So you haven't really got that relationship there. And, in 2019, I went self-employed. I thought I'm going to give it a go myself, kind of try and find the best of everything. That's what I was thinking. Can I have people that are sat in front of me, that want to be sat in front of me, and can I have enough volume that I can build up really good relationships that the person feels like, that they're in a safe pair of hands. I'm there from start to finish. So yeah, that was one of the big things for me going self-employed, was to, I guess, do the job the way I wanted to do it, which was, one, give a really good service, give a lot more than I was capable of doing, I guess, in an institution, and yeah, spend the time with people. So it was a big, big, big leap of faith. It was, very nerve wracking, especially for the first 6 months. Have I done the right thing? And the money was, the money was tight for a bit. It was a bit, got a bit hairy, but it's it's the best decision I ever made. It really is. And my only regret is that I didn't make it sooner.
Well, that is nice that you wanted to. Well, you wish you did it sooner. Was there like a catalyst for you where something changed to make you think now's the time?
Yeah, I definitely there was. There was some, I had my boys, I had two kids and had them pretty close together. There was 18 months between them. And it's just that, with any job, I think really it's quite difficult when, they operate within 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. It's quite difficult to be a mom, and more than anything, I wanted to be able to do my job, but be a mom as well. I don't want to be getting home when they've got to go to sleep. More than anything, I wanted to enjoy that. But the fact that I can be a mom and still do a good job, because most of my appointments now, Ryan, I'll be honest with you, they're in the evening. People don't want to speak to me in the day. They're too busy. They want to speak to me after 7, or they want to speak to me on a Saturday morning. And you know what? I offer that flexibility because it gives that flexibility back to me. So it works. And I guess that model's not for everybody, but for, a lot of my customers, it works really well, and it works really well for me. So it's that flexibility as well, that I can do a good job, but it doesn't have to operate within a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, model.
It is one of those funny things, isn't it? You move to self-employed to get a work-life balance, so to speak, and you end up working all hours, but you got the flexibility, and it is true, and it helps. The more years you're in business, the bigger the portfolio of clients you've got to draw on, and they come back to you. You can start to set boundaries and what you will and won't do in terms of the hours you choose, and it's about what works for you and your clients, really, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the summer holidays is always, a crazy one, isn't it? Because the kids are off for 6 weeks. And if you put them in summer camp for 6 weeks, you may as well not work because of the amount of money it costs. But yeah, the flexibility and just being able to enjoy that is everything. But yeah, drawing boundaries sometimes, Sunday I tend not to do any appointments. That is a family day. But I'd much rather have the flexibility than be tied to the 9 to 5. And also, I think a lot of people I speak to find it difficult to get time off or to get time out of the diary to really sit there and concentrate, and also to be sat with their partner to do that, to actually be together and get the information together in them kind of rigid timeframes is not always easy.
Definitely. Now, you went self-employed in 2019. We all know what happens in 2020. That must have been a bit of a scary time for you as well. So you've had your fair share of ups and downs since being self-employed then.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? I mean, it was so scary. But it all turned out all right. And you think, you know what, you look back and you think, okay, it was tough, but then if you can get through that, I mean, you haven't gone back to an employed basis, then you're definitely onto the right thing, aren't you? I mean, if that's not a challenge to make sure you're doing the right thing, then nothing is. But yeah, everything that's happened has really just kind of reinforced that it was the right decision. And in September 2022, I took the company limited, set up Agree. Like before, I was just like a sole trader under my own name. So then Agree started 3 years ago. And then last November, I took on my first employee. So I took on a full-time mortgage advisor, Katie. So that's brilliant. So the business really has grown, and we're hoping we can take on another 3 people in the next 3 years. So just keep growing it really. But I really want to have that model where we're not kind of stuck there, and they're not stuck within the 9 to 5, that they can do an evening appointment if they need to get off work, they need to see the kids. It's having that true flexibility but actually being employed as well. Is that something that I want to offer? And I think that's quite a rare thing really, because I haven't come across it.
Definitely. It's good to see more companies wanting to offer that, really. Do you feel that where you went through the 2008 crash, obviously it was a very different set of problems to COVID, but do you feel you were able to draw on that a bit, where you'd been through such a large scale change that you kind of knew the good times will come? It just feels a long way when you're in that moment, like when COVID hit. Did that
Yeah, I
help?
mean, yeah, in 2008, I was, I guess, too inexperienced and would I say like maybe a little bit institutionalized to know that it was going to get better. It was just a really, really scary time, and there was just so many changes, wasn't there? And then, the situation with the way the lenders reacted and everything, it was like you were doing a completely different job within the space of 6 months. That's how I felt. And even with the flexibility of the new lenders I've got, it's really was like everything had changed. I remember, being back at West Brom and, seeing someone that had one of the 125% mortgages from before, and then you think, and then kind of things now, and the celebration when April released the 100% mortgages, you're like, oh, you haven't seen nothing. We're 125%, but yeah, I think, especially since I've done it for so long and I feel like I've grown now. When COVID hit, you think, yeah, this is going to get better. Things are going to get better. I think things at the moment, there's some just really, really cool stuff happening. What April was doing is fantastic. Then what Skipton's been doing with the delayed start mortgages, there's just some really cool stuff that is really flexible, but it's sensible as well. So you can see that, hopefully things can grow, but it's a little bit cautious, but then it's a little bit flexible as well. So yeah, I think it's great at the moment. There's just so many options and so much innovation. We just need like a few more lenders in on that just to kind of increase the competition around it. But no, really good. I feel like the whole industry has learned and changed from things that have happened in the past.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned in terms of that change with the crash, we as a business, Primary Jobs UK, that's our company, was set up in 2007 by Gary.
Oh,
And
okay.
he went from 300 jobs to 30 basically overnight.
Oh, wow.
And so, where your whole team got made redundant, he was seeing that across the board, and that
Wow.
changed the model. And so for us as a business, when we've gone through Brexit, when we've gone through COVID, we're able to sort of go, we've been through a storm before. It's hard. It's hard for a while,
Yeah.
but it will get better. And you do need to adapt. Like you say, for you, it was actually, you came out for the better because you went to a whole of market model. You learnt the other side of the role. And if you hadn't had that forced on you, then you may still be at West Brom now.
Oh, I'd still be there. I know I'd still be there. And I'm so, nothing against it, but I'm just so glad I'm not, because it's just opened my eyes. And you don't know what you don't know, do you? I mean, you really don't. So it was good to be put out of that and just to expose to other stuff. I'm really glad. And it's kind of changed the way. I think that whole redundancy thing kind of gave me a confidence as well, that look, I've been made redundant and it's actually, this has worked. I can set up on my own and it will work. I can go limited and it will work. I can take someone on and it will work. So it's that kind of forcing me out of my comfort zone at the time of redundancy has kind of made me go out of my comfort zone on my own accord, if that makes sense. Since I've been like, actually, it's not that bad. And what they say, fortune favours the bold, doesn't it? So sometimes you just got to do it, haven't you?
Yeah. And you never know what's around the corner either, do
Yeah,
you?
you don't.
You would never have gone self-employed if you knew that the 12 months after was going to be COVID. You've just got to take your chance sometimes and go for it.
Yeah, there's never a good time, is it? Because people will go, "Oh, when should I do it? When should I think about doing this?" And I think the moment you think it, do it, or put a plan together to do it. You can't wait on anything really. You've just got to kind of do it when you think it.
And I guess you're now at that stage where you're seeing a lot of repeat customers come through,
Yeah,
where if they've had 2-year, 3-year, 5-year
yeah.
fixes, you're now in that stage where you're really sort of reaping the rewards of being a number of years in business, I guess then.
Yeah, there's a lot of returning customers, which is great. A lot of recommendations, which is great. I think the recommendations are born off the fact that I'm able to spend that time with people. So we're able to build the better relationships, and that naturally will give a better experience and get the referrals. We've also kind of working on the website and just working on a lot of networking locally. So I think when I first started self-employed, I was getting about 4 or 5 mortgages a month, and I thought, this is okay. It'll keep the roof above my head. It'll keep us going. But now those numbers have quadrupled, and we're looking to grow them even more. So does it? It works, doesn't it? You do a good job, and the people will come back and they'll recommend you. And networking, you network, you'll get referrals from there. And there's no better referral than somebody recommending you. Buy leads all day, or you can put an advert out, but it never quite works the same as somebody saying, use this person, they're really good. I mean, it's pure gold. And, I love the fact that people are confident enough to refer us.
Yeah, well, fantastic. It does take a certain level of service to make sure you're getting referrals on a regular basis. Now, you mentioned busyness levels there. You're doing from 4 to 5 a month now to 4 to 5 a week. You're a busy person. Where does then Mortgage Chat come on your journey? Because that's coming up 12 months since you started it. What led you to want to set up Mortgage Chat? And also, what is Mortgage Chat for those who don't know?
So, I mean, I'll tell you what it is first. So, Mortgage Chat is an online community and it's free and it's for mortgage brokers. So, you could be employed, you could be self employed, you could be anything as long as you're a mortgage broker. And it's literally just a place, an online community that's separate from any kind of other social network where brokers can just chat about anything really. So, just to give you an example, this week people have been talking about some criteria. So, the criteria is like 5% deposit with adverse. Some people have been talking about like, oh, what CRM systems do you use? Has anyone got any recommendation? the mis-selling, that has been a massive topic on there. Education in schools, we've been talking about that a lot because as a community, we're trying to roll out some credit report training. So it's just all stuff to do with the day-to-day job that maybe we can support each other on. Could be criteria, like I said, but could just be something general, like what fees you charge, what network you're in, anything to do with being a broker. The question can be asked there. Not too long ago, we had an accountant on, and she went through how to read a set of limited company accounts. And some people go, oh, shouldn't you know that? But we're not accountants, are we? You might know where to extract certain information, but you certainly won't know how to look out for certain things. So she came on, she gave a really good kind of overview of what to look out for and where to pick information from. And it's almost like you're one step ahead of the underwriter when you've got that knowledge. So, I mean, the people that attended it found it really useful. We're getting her back on, and all that kind of stuff's free. So it's just kind of full of those kind of things. Online virtual coffee mornings we do so you can get to know each other. But the reason why I set it up, that's what it is. But the reason why I set it up is because it can be very lonely being on your own, especially when you go self employed. You can be part of a network but still not know anybody. You can be on LinkedIn, but most of your connections aren't mortgage advisors because you're using it to get customers. So maybe you don't want to be friends with other brokers. But it literally is just a place where you can make connections. And, I've made quite a few friends off it. We jump on the virtual coffee mornings together and have a chat, and you can touch base with people. So it's just to form that connection. When you're working by yourself, maybe you haven't left the house for a couple of days, where you've got other brokers that you can talk to and say, what do you think about this? And I just think it is really needed. There's WhatsApp groups out there, there's Facebook groups out there, but this is kind of organised in itself. It is like its own community. It's a little town. It's not like 100 messages you have to scroll through to get what you want. I'm hoping it does genuinely give more of that community feel rather than like a sourcing brain or a sourcing criteria, because it's not that. It's about that human touch. You might have a criteria question that doesn't fit in the black and white. So I had one about a mortgage that had been declined and everybody said no to me. And then someone on Mortgage Chat said, if you talk to so-and-so about this, they might do it because they have got flexibility. And even though it wasn't in their criteria, they did it. And yeah, it's just those little things sometimes that a computer can't do for you, but you just need that little bit of human touch and that conversation just to kind of get the solutions you need.
I think it's fantastic. I think
Thank
it's
you.
something that when I'm speaking to mortgage brokers or, our team are speaking to mortgage brokers, they do sometimes seek that community. You might have the most supportive partner in the world, but they kind of know what you do for a living, but they don't quite understand when you said, I've got a really hard case, I can't get my head around it, or I'm really frustrated, and they sort of, you turn to them and they don't know what to say. And then if you are self-employed, it might be isolating, or even employed, you might be sometimes too embarrassed to ask your line manager,
Mhm.
or they're too busy, or they're on holiday, or whatever reason, you just feel like you've got nowhere to turn to. That
Yeah,
can be really daunting. So have a community that there's no judgment, that's all for
yeah,
supporting each other. I think that's fantastic, because I think too many leave the industry because they're burnt out or they lose faith in the industry. And if that then helps people feel engaged with what they do,
yeah.
fulfilled and empowered with the knowledge, fantastic.
Thanks, Ryan. I think it's interesting that you say like people feel burnt out. I think they do, and I think a lot of burnout is kind of linked to isolation as well. So just having that kind of community will hopefully kind of help people with that. You mentioned people that are employed, they might be thinking, how do I go self-employed? Is there anyone I can speak to? What network do I join? Where do you get that kind of information? You can't get it from your partner or your best mate. You need to speak to other brokers. So, hopefully it can be a benefit there as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So you get, guest speakers on,
Mhm.
whether it's an accountant, what else have you sort of got sort of planned for Mortgage Chat?
Well, really exciting what we're doing at the moment is, so I'm in the West Midlands, I'm based in Warsaw. A lot of people I see are probably, it is classed as one of a deprived area. So a lot of people I see that want to get a mortgage might struggle because of their credit rating, their credit history. So I've got this training that I've developed with Experian, which is basically designed at 16 to 18-year-olds, and it helps them understand what their credit report is, what their financial profile is, and how to look after it from day one. And look, we're not talking about getting a credit card. We're definitely not talking about that. We're talking about getting registered at your address, making sure you've got a direct debit set up if you've got a mobile phone contract. So nice, simple things on how to do it. It's been delivered to, I think, in total about 250 students so far. But what we're going to do as a community is it's been rolled out to the community, and the Mortgage Chat community is really interested in this. So the guys that are members that I've never met them. They're just part of the community. They come on the virtual coffee mornings. They're going to start rolling this out all over the UK. So we've got someone doing it in Essex, someone doing it in Lancashire, a few other places as well. But that's something really exciting that we're doing as a community. So that's like a bit of education, a bit of a give back, just to help young people be aware of their credit profile, their credit identity, and we're all kind of using the same training material. So that's really exciting what we're doing. We've got a guy on Friday that's talking about how to sell a brokerage and how to work remotely abroad. So there's just all kind of different things that come up. Sometimes we might have a lender on, but it really is not just me deciding what goes on. It's open to the community. What would you like to see? These are some suggestions people have come to me with. We do a vote. The most popular one comes on. And then if there isn't anything that week, we'll just get together and everyone will just have a virtual coffee for 45 minutes, an hour, and just have a chat through anything. So it's just a touch point really for people to come in and, yeah, maybe not feel so isolated, hopefully.
Well, it sounds fantastic. It sounds like something that would have been fantastic, particularly during lockdown.
Oh,
But
it would, wouldn't it?
we
Yeah.
said earlier, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you regret not doing something sooner, but now is the best time to set it up,
Yeah.
because if you don't, you may never do it. So
Yeah.
it's really good that you did set it
I
up
wish I'd
last year.
thought about it in lockdown, right? I wish I'd thought about.
But then it might not have been ready then, you know, and I think that's the thing in life sometimes, isn't it? You have these ideas and, I should have done it then. Well,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it didn't. Now is the right time.
Yeah.
And to be honest, with lockdown, the way lenders were just, you know, cutting rates or taking out deals at a moment's notice, you might have wanted to set it up then, but when you have to log on at midnight to secure the first X number of deals of the day,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it wasn't
Yeah.
appropriate back then to have set it up then.
Do you remember that with HSBC where you were like, I don't know if anyone, we were queuing to get onto the site to get the rates, and it was just so painful. You couldn't get in the queue early enough. You know, it was mental.
And I think it's those bits that, do clients understand you're doing that for them?
Mm.
And it's, do you articulate it? How do you? That's then, I think, sometimes where, you know, it's the community of, how do I tell a client that I woke up at 1 a.m. and I didn't wake up early enough?
Yeah.
In what other job is that
I know.
something you have to communicate?
I know. It's crazy, isn't it? But, you know, I do tell people. I think, you know, I'll tell them when it's gone smoothly and when it hasn't, not to alarm them. But I think it's important people know what you do. People might disagree, people might agree with me. But, yeah, I think you're putting that effort in for them to get the result for them. So,
yeah, fantastic. So if people are interested in Mortgage Chat, how do they find out more information?
So there is, if you're on LinkedIn, you can message me and I can send you a link over. If not, I can send you a link, Ryan, and that you can pass on to people. That's absolutely fine. But generally, it's through LinkedIn.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we'll put the link in the description below, wherever you're watching this. You know, there'll be a link below for you to follow. But as Marianne said, feel free to message her directly, or, you know, message myself and we can point you in the right direction. So it is for mortgage brokers only, you said?
Yeah.
So you've got to be a mortgage broker, and then you can benefit from part of the community, free to join. So yeah, what have you got to lose other than, I guess, you get out as much as you put in? It is kind of one of those things, isn't it? You don't want to just be silent in the background. You do need to contribute, and
yeah,
you get more from it then that way.
Yeah, definitely. The more you put in, the more you get out, like with anything, isn't it?
Fantastic. Well, really enjoyed chatting to you today. It's
Thank
been
you, Ryan.
really enjoyable to see your journey. Excited to see what the next 5, 10 years brings as well. You've gone
Brilliant.
through a journey over the last 5 years or so. Who knows what the
Yeah,
next
who
five will
knows?
bring, eh?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you
Fantastic.
so much. Great talking to you too.
No
Thanks, Ryan.
problem. Cheers then.
Bye.